Welcome back you guys, and in today's NewsTHE video, I'm going to focus on two stories today. They're going to be on the latest report suggesting that Jorginho's successor might be Wilfred Ndidi, and for the final story, I'm going to speak about the latest developments surrounding ALEXTELLES. Is it looking like his guaranteed move to Paris Saint-Germain is still on the cards? I'm not too sure at this point in time, you guys. I feel like I'm going to get more information in regards to this story, so it's definitely interesting times. However, before I get into anything, today's video is brought to you by the OneFootball app. Use the OneFootball app's useful follow feature to stay up to date to clubs and transfer targets as well. You know, with the app's follow feature, you get the latest updates and alerts straight to your phone, so you're always going to know what's happening in the world of football. We know that with the transfer market, and especially in these times, you know, news is getting a bit crazy. There's so much news from so many outlets. The OneFootball app does a pretty good job at finding the best ones. So if you guys want to find out for yourselves and really see what the app's about, you'll find a link to the app in the description below. So on that point, you guys, we now move on to the first story today. And I want to speak about this story in regards to Wilfred Ndidi. Now, we all know that Juventus are now starting to make their interest in Jorginho a lot more concrete, and it's looking like if he is sold, could we potentially go back in the market to sign a replacement for the player? Potentially, and in today's reports, they're suggesting that one potential successor to Jorginho might be Wilfred Ndidi. Now, before I continue on giving my thoughts and opinions on whether he would be a great signing for us, I want to actually break down the context of today's news, because it's something I've really moaned about time and time again. It is quite frustrating, and I feel, you know, because I am a YouTube personality figure in that sense, I want to give you guys the correct information, the correct context, because we live in a world already that's full of just, you know, clickbait, that's full of quick reactive opinions without any due diligence, without any research, without any fact checking as well. It frustrates the hell out of me. I'm getting sick and tired of it, and it's one thing that I don't like to do. It's one thing that I'm just totally against, and you know, I'm not here for it. I feel like with YouTubers like me, for example, we were like a reaction to how the media tends to be. You know, it's full of clickbait, full of misinformation, full of poor reporting, not really giving us facts or context, etc, etc. Maybe it depresses me a tiny bit seeing that, you know, some of those grievances with the media I'm now starting to see on YouTube a bit. I'm starting to see maybe a lot of the news stories out there being, you know, really reactive, no due diligence, no research, etc, etc. So I'm hoping that that's not going to be the case, because we don't have to be like these guys. And the reason why I'm just going on this like spiel and this monologue is because when I try to actually find the article from Mundo Deportivo, because they're the outlet that everyone's saying is breaking the story, I didn't see anything in regards to Ndidi. What I saw was interest from Premier League clubs, and to be honest, the article was centered around Real Madrid's interest in Ndidi. So, you know, I did some further investigating, and it led me to another Spanish outlet called Todo Fias. I think I'm saying that right, I'm not too sure, you guys. They seem to actually have our name in the article. However, it was the same story as the Mundo Deportivo one. Literally no substantial news linking the player with us whatsoever. I don't know where they even got the valuation for Ndidi as well. They're reporting that Leicester could let him go for 40 million, which doesn't make any sense. His contract ends in about 3-4 years anyway, and if Ben Chilwell can command maybe 60 to 70 million, Ndidi is arguably one of Leicester City's top 3 most important players in that entire team, so how can he go for less money than Ben? It makes no sense whatsoever, you guys. And this level of reporting is just so typical, especially in these current times we're living in right now. You know, when it comes to the Spanish media, they are known for being so egregious when it comes to clickbait and literally monetizing anything and everything for the pursuit of money. It's not right in my opinion, and I know that I'm sounding very depressing. So for the second part, for the main story, I want to actually hypothesize how Ndidi could work, because let's say Jorginho does leave, potentially we might go in for a replacement for the player. Now, without a doubt, Ndidi is one of the most impressive defensive players in this league. If you're asking me, I would say he's probably top 15 for defensive mids. You know, his defensive game for his age really is impressive, and in that sense, he kind of reminds me a bit of a Makelele. You know, his ability to just positioned himself perfectly. His ability to sense the danger, to read the danger. He knows how to block off the passing channels too. He knows how to close his man down and win tackles cleanly and efficiently by not giving away silly fouls in his own half. You know, he covers the shadows very well. He understands tactics very well as well. You know, this guy is an incredible defensive midfield player. For the Leicester City team where, you know, they tend to focus their passes through the middle, you know, he's been the perfect protective figure for the midfield players. We know how they use Maddison and guys like Tielemans and etc. in midfield, so Ndidi plays behind them, basically screening that defense behind him, and that's really where Ndidi excels. Now, when it comes to comparing the defensive stats of him and Jorginho, you know, it's not even a debate, it's not really even a battle. Ndidi is clear in those defensive stats. However, my only issue I have with Ndidi is his passing game. Now, that's not to say that it's not good enough. I just mean for how we play. And I think this is one thing that we consistently forget about. When it comes to players we're being linked with, the players that we want us to sign, we have to think about how they're going to fit in with our tactics, our system, and what Lampard wants. We know that with our midfield, it's very important that they're able to play out from the back because we like to invite a lot of pressure into our half. We've had the midfield players capable of beating the press, playing passes between the midfield lines as well, and helping us kickstart attacks. For me, is Ndidi that profile of midfielder? I'm not too sure. That isn't me saying that he isn't good enough, because no. I'm always constantly vouching and saying that, listen, players fill different roles with different tactics. That's how you need to look at players. That's how you actually strengthen a team and take your tactics and your game plan to the next level. We prefer to focus our build up down the flanks, unlike Leicester City, who tend to play with a lot more narrowness. And with Ndidi, he's not really in that team to help them play out from the back, to play those passes between the lines. I'm not saying that he can't do that whatsoever. I'm just saying that for the level that we need, because that's the most important thing, that level of technical ability at the back that we need, I don't think that necessarily suits Ndidi, and I think that's why he's solely been used as a defensive midfield player, you know, instead of being used as a regista or a deep line playmaker. But to continue on, you guys, that's not me saying that we should never ever entertain any potential interest in the player, because let's say hypothetically for the following season, not the 2021 season but the 21-22 season, what if Lampard decides that he needs to adapt his tactics? What if he feels like, you know, if he wants to allow the fullbacks to bomb forward more, he needs to have a more classical defensive midfield player? If that was the case, then Ndidi definitely is a player with high potential and high interest. And one more thing about the player is that he's developing. I've mentioned his passing game, but this is something that he's really improving a lot with Leicester City right now. And for me personally, before the player thinks about moving on right now, why not fine-tune that part of his game first, where he's able to play week in and week out, to put the player in a better position for any potential future transfers. You know, I think Ndidi is a special player, and it's quite exciting to see how he could develop with one more season of football at Leicester City. I say this because we've seen examples of Ndidi getting pressed and closed down to his weaker foot, and we've seen him lose the ball time and time again in his own half. You guys know how we play. We've seen it time and time again this season. The last thing we need is a midfield player losing possession of the ball in our own half. And to give you guys an example, look at one of the earliest games of the season at home against Leicester City. Mason Mount scored a goal where he dispossessed Ndidi on his blind sides, and he was able to profit from that. For a top 4 team like us, you know, we can't afford to have that type of risk in our midfielder. But as I stress, he is improving his overall game. He is improving on that aspect of his game, so I like to see him for another season before it comes to thinking about making a move for the player. But anyway, you guys, that's only my thoughts and opinions. I'm not here to impose anything on you guys, so in the comment section below, if you disagree with me, I'd be interested to read why. And I'm just interested to really get the general vibe from you guys in regards to this story. But now we move on to the second report and the final report, and it's in regards to ALEXTELLES. Now, as you guys can see on screen, this story is coming from Latin Sport via Tuttosport, and it is an update on the ALEXTELLES saga. Now, of course, we know that Paris Saint-Germain have been speaking to Telles and his entourage, and it seems like they could be leading the race at this point in time to sign him officially. However, some interesting news has come out over the past few days. I'm going to read it out for you guys. The problem that Leonardo and Paris Saint-Germain in this case has a name. That's us. The London club have been working on ALEXTELLES for longer than Paris Saint-Germain and therefore seem to have a good lead. According to information from Tuttosport, new contacts have taken place very recently between the entourage of the player and us. The discussions would always advance a little more, and if Paris Saint-Germain remains in the race, things could quickly spoil it for the next few days. So again, you guys, it seems like there could be more life to this ALEXTELLES story. It does not surprise me whatsoever. At this current point in time in the market, the club are assessing and starting to make official contacts and approaches for players on the shortlist. Now, of course, when it comes to signing players, unless you are just so confident of the player you want to go for, like we did with Hakim Ziyech, most times you are going to play the patient game. You are going to just ascertain the entire market to get an idea of what the valuations are, who could be the best viable candidates for the best possible prices too. The one interesting bit of news with Paris Saint-Germain was that their bid of 25 million was deemed acceptable by Porto. Now, most times when news like that does become official, any other interested parties that get wind of that will decide to make approaches if they want. So it seems like in our case, we have taken advantage of that. With us, when we were negotiating with Porto, they weren't telling us that we could sign it for 25 million. That seems to be all of Paris Saint-Germain's hard work that went in to get the price down to that valuation. So, great for them for helping us out. And at this point in time, it brings us back to level 0 again. We don't know what left back we're going to sign. I'm not even too sure the club right now have a 100% idea of the left back they are going to sign. I think there are going to be so many factors that are going to dictate the final signing we do make. And this will be interesting to see what happens in the end. You guys still know that the left back that I want us to sign would be Tagliafico from Ajax. However, as I keep stressing every single time, the standard of quality that we're being linked with at left back is very high. So many players that I do like, where if we didn't sign Tagliafico, I'm not going to be upset because the other options have their own merits, and most importantly, they suit the tactical demands that Lampard would want. So on that point, you guys, that's going to be today's news story wrapped up. Yeah, some disappointing news, some interesting updates. The market's going to be pretty crazy this year. That's what I'm really predicting. And on that point, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. Now, I'm going to let you guys know there is going to be a live stream Q&A later tonight between 7 and 8 p.m. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to announce that on my community page later. And I'm going to wrap things up. Thank you for watching. I'm NewTHE FC. This is Blue Lions TV. See you guys later with some more videos.